welcome. My name is Kelly Anderson, and this is Fanimated, the animation fan podcast where we get a chance to geek out about our favorite animated media. And Brynn, Berryhill, and I are really geeking out about Steven Universe, the movie. We have so much to discuss, from what were the best songs to what was hiding in Lion's mane. So spoiler warning for all you gyms who haven't seen it yet, and without further ado, let's get started and let's get animated.
And we are recording.
Great.
I am going to bring up my notes and your face.
And I've got everything recording as well, and here are my notes, and I'm so excited.
I'm excited.
Oh my goodness.
Steven Universe movie. We've been waiting so long for this.
I know.
Kelly, we've been waiting for so long.
We have to wait so long for everything.
Like, there was a meme that said, what was it? All of the SU fandom totally understands Spinell because we know what it's like to wait for 6,000 years to hear from Steven.
Oh my gosh.
So for our listeners who have been with us since the beginning of our journey, we've been waiting for this for a while.
Yeah, just a little while.
Just a bit.
Brynn Berryhill is with me, and we're discussing Steven Universe, the movie. Steven finally has a neck, and everything is great.
And I'll come back to this later, but the beginning has the red, like the theater curtains, and a book.
And a book.
And it has the storybook, thus continuing to complete Steven Universe's Disney Princess Bingo.
Yes, absolutely. The opening with the, title cards and the book opening, it's so Disney princess-esque. It's so wonderful. I immediately was like, this is my favorite. I love everything about the song that they're singing. I love it.
And the style is so gorgeous.
So good.
The style of the storybook is gorgeous.
So pretty.
Yeah, and they really changed their style a couple different times in the movie that I noticed, and I'm excited to get to my favorite shift.
So really quick for those who don't know, and if you don't, go watch all of Steven Universe and then watch the movie and then come back.
All of it. Every single bit.
But if you are just listening to this for funsies, welcome. And Steven Universe, there's too much to talk about, but basically the movie follows
Gay space rocks.
Gay space rocks, yes. Steven is a half alien, half human boy, and now teenager, and he has magical powers. Basically, it's Steven has to protect the Earth again from a new character named Spinell, and she is wanting to destroy the Earth and Steven because his mom was a meanie to her. And that is the whole movie. The end.
That's it. Thanks for listening, guys. It was so great to do the podcast.
Yep. So anyway, go watch the movie, then come back. Okay, good. We're all in the same boat now? Okay, we're good? Okay. So continuing. Steven is basically a Disney princess, and they use Disney princess tropes in all of their episodes. So of course they're going to open the whole movie with a Disney princess trope, aka the book.
The storybook is so good. And the opening song after the storybook, I loved the three-part harmony.
Yes.
That they got to eventually.
So good.
And just so beautiful, that entire thing. Also, wow, you guys have gotten a lot better at showing your affection.
I love that line. I love it. And I love that Steven has to, like, back away and, like, get away from them, like, because they're overly affectionate towards him.
We've done everything you ask. That's great. Bye. Shink. I felt like that was such a teenager move, though.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
If a teenager had overbearing aunts who were trying to get him to stay and he had a warp pad, that is 100% the way that a 16-year-old would escape the situation with all of the tact of a 16-year-old.
And he is definitely a teenager. Like, I feel like I love that they have matured, but I'm also like, Steven, stop being so moody and annoying.
Steven regressed a little bit. But what's interesting, so I work at a middle school, and what's interesting is that, like, biologically and neurologically, middle schoolers regress.
Really?
A little bit.
Is
Yeah.
that so?
Because their bodies are dumping hormones into them, and, like, all of the things are going on with their brain and how they function. Their bodies don't know which way is up, and so in a lot of ways neurologically they're kind of set back a bit while their bodies and their brains figure themselves out.
Yeah. That's how I felt about it. Like, I still love the time jump, like, it's so fun, but I felt like this is Steven. Yeah, and I guess it's part of the story, too, in the fact that, yeah, Steven's getting so comfy cozy in his little happily ever after that he's, like, he's, like, regressing. He's, like, he's so stuck. He is the one that's stuck in his ways, and he's the one who has to learn how to change. Not White Diamond, not the diamonds, him. It's very interesting.
He has to relearn how to change.
Yes, he has to relearn.
Yeah. So I don't know if they intentionally did that because he's a teenager and kind of teenagers get a little self-absorbed because of the shift that's going on in their brains, or if it was just like Steven got too comfortable with his happily ever after. Either way, I was a little sad because, like, there weren't as many moments to just enjoy Steven. Steven's the optimistic one. Steven is the, like, bring joy to every situation one. And in this film, like, the other gyms are the ones who have to, like, lift him up and be like, we can do this. And he's the Debbie Downer. Like, what? Which isn't that so good, though? Like, in when you guys were talking about Big Hero 6, I think it was, who was it, Jamie, who was talking about Big Hero 6? And the fact that the hero wasn't the kid, it was the people that came around him.
Yeah.
And that sometimes you need people outside of you to help you as well. Which is interesting because the main point of the movie is that you yourself have work to do as well. So, like, while you do need support to get you through hard times, ultimately it was Steven who made that change. Ultimately, you need support around you to make that change, or it's good to have support around you to make a change and make a shift, but ultimately it is you that makes that shift, which we saw in Steven, as well as hopefully we will see in Spinell.
Absolutely.
But I agree. I wanted to see more of the, like, lovable, huggable Steven who's made all of this my character development.
Yeah, Peridot, that was a good line.
What was it? Peridot, I could have lost all of my character development.
And hers was one of my favorite character development journeys in the series, so that would have been sad.
That little scene of, it took me months to stop trying to kill Steven. It took me a day and a half. Honestly, I'm still on the fence.
I love that so much.
I agree with you, though. I wish I had seen more, like, Steven has the answers because he's grown.
Yes. I don't know. It was just that feeling, and it still is there when I watch it, that I'm missing Steven. Like, Steven's not in this movie. I'm sorry.
Yeah? You think?
It just didn't feel that way. It just felt very different. And maybe, again, maybe it's supposed to be, because it changes, and everything is changing.
And isn't it great that everything changes?
Fine, I guess so.
One thing that I really like, my roommate and I were talking about this a lot because we watched it twice together. Is that like the fact that the TV series versus a movie. So one thing that really got me about the movie is that usually Rebecca Sugar ties up her loose ends, but she didn't tie up the loose end of the injector for us. Between the time that Spinell saw Steven say, like, by the way, I have friends, Kay, thanks, bye, and when she came to Earth with the injector, had to be, like, 6 hours. And that's generous. So Spinell somehow found this giant injector that looks like the drills that they would use for terraforming, got biohazardous liquid and poisonous, like, liquid, and got the scythe, and flew to Earth, which is less of a leap, so to speak. But all of those things in, like, 6 hours.
And she must have, like, been poofed at some point because she reforms.
We saw her reforming, like, it was actually in one of the trivias. Her formation, or reforming, was like a magic girl, like an anime magic girl, like Sailor Moon. Like Miraculous, like Ladybug.
Like her hair comes out more, and well, I mean, that's a stylistic choice,
and she and Rose are the only gems whose gems have flipped upside down when they've reformed. And both of them didn't get poofed when they reformed.
Oh, so she chose to be well, her emotions caused her to be that way. Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that, yeah. Here I was thinking that she must have gotten poofed some time between then and there. Okay, yeah, I'll take it. And I think there's a lot of loose ends that she didn't wrap up in the, like, so far at all. So I'm like, this is a minor one that does not perturb me.
I also had a problem with how the consequence factor of the injector. So the injector, like, eventually in the movie, the injector goes all the way down, but it doesn't destroy the Earth like they say it's going to.
Nope.
And the imminent danger placed down was, like, destroyed.
Yeah.
I was talking to my partner, my roommate, and they were like, well, viable theories are that the last time when she put down the injector and, like, had it all go out, since she did it so quickly, it spurted out and it became surface level instead of down into the core, which is probably the theory that I believe the most.
Yes.
I felt like if you had whole world circumstances and whole world consequences, you should have either made bank on it and, like, actually had the effects starting to affect the whole world. Or put in a half line, an line that says, like, I was going for the whole world, but if I can kill your world, it's just as good.
Right.
That's all that they would have needed to say, oh, okay, she's just going for Beach City.
Right. If we're talking about things we don't like, just really quick, there are a few, and I don't want to be too nitpicky because I agree. I super love this movie, and I want to talk about all the things that I love about it. And that's what this show, that's what Fanimated is about. It's about talking about the things we love, and we do love it. But here's my big thing. And and it's complicated because I have an issue with it, and then I can also be my devil's advocate and tell you why it's good. So here's why it's bad. The plot is literally everything we spent 5 seasons developing. They just reused all of their content. Like, and it's so meta because Steven acknowledges it. Spinell cuts them all down to where they originally were at, and they all have to relearn how to how to be who they are, you know? Like, Garnet, it just has to find love and truth, and Pearl needs to find her rebellious nature, and Amethyst has to sing and dance, I guess. But it was just like that we learned nothing new. All right, but here's why it's good, and I'll tell you why it's good.
I want to hear this.
Because, and I didn't think about this until I saw a comment online. I think it was Reddit or Tumblr or somewhere.
Because that's where we live.
That's where I live. And they were like, I've never seen a single episode of Steven Universe, but I love this movie and I can't wait to watch the episodes. And I was like, Rebecca Sugar. No, I think it's good in that this is a really great place for people to start. Like, you don't have to, I mean, if they're okay with the major spoilers, because they literally tell you everything, it's actually like a good place. I feel like it's almost, meant to be kind of like a good launching point for people who don't want to spend 5 seasons, which I don't know why you wouldn't, because they're phenomenal.
I think it's a good summary. Because of that fact, this story is a lot about Spinel.
Yes.
And the fact that Steven has changed and Pearl has changed and Garnet has changed, but it takes work. And you get all of this, like, we have changed and we have relearned to change, and then we throw it to Spinel and say, and we still have work to do.
Yes.
And it takes work to change those things. It doesn't just happen. And so while you had this, like, whole book to get to the main, like, of the exposition of Steven and exposition of Pearl and Garnet and Amethyst, you have this main conclusion and point of Spinel. That I think is really beautiful. So I am really excited for Spinel. And I'm really excited because it shows that Steven Universe is continuing to broaden their diversity of characters and their diversity of representation of their characters. So we have Lapis, who has PTSD from the mirror and from being in an abusive relationship with Jasper. And now we have Spinel, who has traits of someone who has had PTSD and or borderline personality disorder and or separation, traumatic separation, and or so many different things, because all of these mental things, smush together and they share traits, and it's all very blurry. But Spinel reaches a whole different kind of character, right? So Spinel has so many different parts to her. She has this need and want to be loved and to be loved and to love. And then Spinel also has this anger when she isn't loved, and then she lashes out with that anger, and then she has regret about lashing out, and then she is sad because of that, and then she lashes out because she's sad and depressed and continues in this cycle. And so many different people can relate to that, whether it's them or their parent or their partner or their friend, and it helps so much to see that other people go through this. It's so powerful to have that representation of other people go through this, and to see somebody who you identify with go through the same problems as you're going through, and having them win and fail and win and fail and try and change and try and bloom and grow and then stumble again and bloom. And Steven has done all of these things. And even Garnet has, Pearl has, Amethyst, all of these different characters have done this. And it means so much to so many different people to see their character go through the struggles that they go through. And I love that Spinel is there now as well. And I can't wait to see what they do with Spinel and how Spinel rises to the challenge of doing the work that she needs to do. Like we all know that she has to do, and like she knows that she has to do now, and I'm just so proud, and I'm super excited to see that.
Yes. Yeah. That's wonderful. Thank you. So Let me just tell you why I love Spinel.
Okay, please do, because I love her too.
Oh, she's my little precious baby, and I want the best for her. The introduction to her character is the best 2-minute, 3-minute scene in the entire series. Hands down, it's my favorite. And okay, well, that's a lie, because there are too many wonderful scenes for me to choose.
But it's so good.
Here's why it's phenomenal. They introduce her, and her song, Other Friends, is so good. It's this swing song, okay? And the way she moves, so she gets there, she lands that giant injector, and she's already immediately, she starts to like, her noodle arms go splooshing everywhere, and she's... she moves like an old cartoon, so she like stretches and does weird things, and immediately I was like, this is the best thing ever. I don't even care that she's a villain. Like, this is so fun to watch. Like, it was so fun to watch. And the voice actor, my goodness, what a voice actor. Because, I mean, even when she's just talking, well, let's look at the menagerie, like, oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. And like, she takes all of the gems, and she's like whipping them around everywhere, and they don't know which way is up. And she's just the way that whole thing is boarded and animated, just phenomenal. That whole song, phenomenal. Yes. And then it builds, and she like cuts everyone in half, and it just ends, and I'm like, oh, what just happened to me? What just happened to everyone?
Perfect villain song. It was just so good. And her animation is based off of like the 1920s, 1930s, maybe into the 1940s animation style of that like rubber hose sort of animation. And her voice is even like Harley Quinn.
And her character design is 100% Mickey Mouse. Mm-hmm. Like, that was the point. Spinel is just immediately such this formidable foe. Mm-hmm. And because she can cut everyone down.
Yeah. She's scary.
And I love it.
And reckless and perfect, because if she loses her memories, it's even better.
Oh, it's so much better. Because you don't know. Steven and you, the audience, doesn't know what's going on. And I love it.
Pearl's explanation song is so clever.
Yes.
When she is explaining da-da-da-da. Just, like... So clever. And Greg.
My Greg universe.
My Greg universe. Like, so and the fact that they added the Greg makes it so much less creepy.
Yes. Oh, for sure. It's so funny. It's so funny every time she does that. And what I loved about Pearl's part of the movie especially is that it wasn't Rose that helped her. Like, Amethyst turned into Rose because they thought, okay, let's bring out the big guns. Let's see if Rose can jog her memory. And that wasn't it. It was
loss.
It was just losing the person that she is, connected to. It was losing Greg, not being able to find him. Like, that was what got it for her. And I loved that because it made it just a little bit less like... Because even now, even though she is free from that and free from her connection to Rose, it still is just something that hangs in the background. But, like, it just made her character even more independent to me as an audience member because it wasn't Rose. Her story isn't all about Rose all the time. And I liked that.
The clip of Pearl dropping to her knees after Rose disappears and then dropping into a little, like, droplet will make me cry if I watch it too many times because it is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, the animation on this is so gorgeous.
So
Can't
good.
Even.
Yeah, and that song, Independent Together, is also one of my favorites. It's so good. I love listening to it, and I wish... Listen, I love Opal, but I wanted more of Dee Dee Magna Hall's voice, and I wanted Pearl to be singing more.
I think that it was an homage to the, and I didn't even think about this until I was reading Reddit, because that's where we live. I think it's a really great homage to the fusions that aren't romantically based.
Right. Oh, that makes
and
sense.
In no way romantically based.
Yeah.
Because Steg, oh my god, that fusion is so... Like, it's a shock to the system at first.
At first I was like,
laughed.
no, they can't. They can't. Can they? Can they? They
Well,
did it. Oh
it
my
wasn't
God.
even that. It was the abs that got me.
It's a ripped shirt. Like, I was just so like, oh my gosh, they actually did it. Like, Rebecca Sugar has said that she has designs for every fusion, and I did not believe it until this moment.
The abs and the, like, Johnny Bravo hair thing going out in front of the
so
face
good.
for a mile.
Yes. I love it. I love it so much.
But, okay, I've watched it 3 times now. Probably not enough. The more I watch it, the more it makes sense. Because the music and the rock star and, like, that is the essence of Greg and Steven's, like, connection.
Absolutely.
And the thing that they, like, overlap on.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
And the Venn diagram. I thought it was hysterical that it was, like, super ripped and whatever. I think it's great. I think it's hysterical. It's like, it was the age difference between the two, honestly.
Right, yeah.
And, like, the star killer sort of, like, dreamy rock star.
Because,
like,
yeah,
I thought it...
Greg is a rock star.
Yeah. And Steven is so innocent and sweet, and I think totally has rock star in him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I liked it. I like it. The more I watch it, the more I like it. But with having Opal and Steg, like, it's the two fusions that are definitely not romantic. Besides Smoky Quartz.
Right.
Smoky Quartz as well. But this wasn't about Steven. Well, this was more about Steven and Greg than it was about Steven and Amethyst.
Right. And Steven and Amethyst already had their time together.
Okay, so Amethyst being mimic-based, I never thought about it that way. That Amethyst, like, grew by mimicking people, and it never really hit home. Like, I think what they did with the movie was hit the distillation of each character. Like with Pearl, it wasn't about Rose. It was about loss. And her past and her devotion. With Amethyst, it wasn't about whatever. It was about the fact that she has been trying to be people since the beginning.
And she needs to be herself. Oh, so good. So good. And then with Garnet, I love that it takes Garnet the longest out of everyone, including Spinel. It takes Garnet the longest to become herself again, because it's always about Garnet knows everything. Garnet's the best. Garnet's a leader. And then she takes the longest to get back to her regular self.
Spinel, did you do something with your hair?
It's so cute. Oh, I love it. I love innocent Garnet. It's so funny.
Innocent Garnet is fun.
And I love that, oh, can you watch Garnet for me? It looks like she's already watching herself, because, like, she forms and she's just like, ooh, like she's like, she's figuring out who she is again, and it's so fun, because usually she's so just chill and cool and knows everything and is confident, and here she is just like discovering everything anew, and I love it.
Yeah, and it's not even that she's not confident. She's just innocent. She's just so wee bab. I think my favorite part of all of the transformations was the rings showing up on Garnet's fingers. That touch, that cherry on the cupcake makes me just so happy, because that was one of her transformations, was adding those rings. And I will say, my roommate and I both want Steven's magical flip-flops that can tap dance and, like, climb up glass.
Yeah, right?
So I say it's one of his princess perks, because each of the princesses have these ridiculous high heels that they can somehow like run and dance in, and Steven has his magical flip-flops that he can tap dance in and like stop sliding off of glass in and like climb up sheer walls in with it sticking to his heel. We're very jealous.
Yes. And I love that they gave him a jacket and yet still kept the flip-flops. Like, let's...
Yes.
Because A, the jacket is awesome, but also it's just a little funny because it's even more of a, like, okay, is it hot or cold, dude?
It's organic.
Hello, Fanimators! I want to take a quick break from my awesome discussion with Brynn to say thank you. Fanimated is nearing its first anniversary, and we are celebrating by having a new episode every week in the month of September. Not only that, but every Patreon supporter who donates $1 or more in the month of September 2019 will get a special Fanimated decal sticker. If you are unfamiliar with Patreon, it is a phenomenal platform where you get to support your favorite creators and receive super fun rewards in return. Every one of our Patreon supporters who donates $1 or more gets to vote on our podcast topics every single month. You can find us on patreon.com/Fanimated. You can cancel or edit your donation at any time, and your support goes to cover the technical costs of the show. Thank you so much for listening, and let's dive back into Steven Universe, the movie.
Yeah, no, the reason why I talked about the tap dancing flip-flops is because Amethyst's song is so good.
I love it. It's so fun.
With how it was mimicked, it's so fitting. So fitting. And they haven't done a song like that before, and it kind of jives with the 1920s, 1930s sort of feeling of the movie as well. Like, so good.
So, Spinel, when she finally transforms back, I mean, she goes all the way back to the garden, and Pink left her there, tricked her to leave her there. It felt very much, you know, like when she told Pearl not to tell anyone, like that kind of spell she has on her gems. I don't know. And
yeah,
I love that Steven is so #done with his mom, because he's just like, I can't believe she did. Oh, wait, no, I can totally believe she did that. You're not the only one she hurt. Like, yeah.
Yep. That's one of my favorite lines.
It's so good.
Nope, I totally believe that she would do that.
And it brings me to this other point that, Pink Diamond did change, you know. She also changed. She was Rose, and we're all in this big, like, let's hate on Pink Diamond because she made a mistake. And it's like, we've forgiven White and Blue and Yellow, like they're the sweet aunts who sing in harmony, and it's cute. But let's all hate Pink Diamond because she left Spinel. And like, yes, but also, where did she learn how to be mean to Spinel? From the other diamonds.
I also have a theory about Pink at this time. So we see this little montage of Spinel Spinel being constantly like bouncy and unchanging. And then we see Pink at first being really into it and very where Spinel is, but slowly she starts to grow out of it, and you see it in her facial expressions, but she doesn't have empathy yet. So she's growing out of the place of where Spinel is. So she's made some growth,
right?
But she hasn't made that growth in empathy. She's only made that growth in like social awareness, because she wants to be like the other diamonds, and she wants her own colony, and she doesn't know how to deal with Spinel. So I would argue that Pink actually grew a little, but she grew disproportionately. That empathy didn't grow with her social behavioral growth. And that empathy is what she would have needed to not stick her there for 6,000 years. So what we're seeing is Pink's mistakes in such a place of position of privilege that she's able to ruin Spinel for 6,000 years. Right? Yeah. But it's a mistake that any like teenager could have made, right? Or like maybe not even teenager, I'd say adolescent. Like an adolescent, you could see an adolescent telling a dog to stay in a room while they go off and do something, completely forget, but Pink has the power to keep her there, right? So these are very human mistakes that Pink has made with disastrous consequences because she has so much power.
Exactly. It's just so fascinating now that Steven is so clearly himself. Like, the end of the series, the season 5 at least, was very, I am not Pink. I am not Rose. I am Steven, and I'm loving myself as Steven. And it's so nice seeing this aftermath of that, of being like, no, I am my own individual self. And also he knows everything about Pink. Well, everything, quote unquote, because where else are they going to get any conflict from this series? And
hashtag mommy issues.
Mommy issues. And that he is separating himself from her a little bit with like, oh yes, she was horrible. And like, she had her moments too of hurting people and all of those things. So it's just interesting to be on all of that. I don't know.
No, I totally, yeah. It's a narrative transition. And like, we had shadows of Rose saying like, I'm not a good person. Like, right. When Greg, what was it when Greg said, I don't even know you, and she said that's probably for the best or something like that?
I don't remember.
I can't remember what the exact line was, but Rose understood she wasn't a good person. I think part of her obsession with growth was that she wanted to grow so much.
Right.
And she wanted to leave that behind. But that's just me.
And I guess I'm really looking forward to seeing if there is anything more to learn about Pink, if we will learn that in future, whatever the future holds, or just what's going to happen with that. I don't know, because there's still so much Pink. I feel that they can't just make everything about Pink and Rose anymore. Like, whatever is happening to the Steven Universe franchise after this, because there is something we just don't know. They can't just make it all about Pink all the time anymore. We've crossed that bridge. We're over it. We've burned it up. Let's move on.
I have a theory.
What's your theory?
That happily ever after with the diamonds and Spinel is not a happily ever after.
Oh, absolutely not a happily ever after.
Because it's codependence. I have mixed feelings about the ending. At first, it seems like puzzle pieces. It seems like the happily ever after. It seems like Spinel has been left alone for so long and needs so much love, and the diamonds want to give so much love, and it seems like puzzle pieces. And I think to an extent that can be very healing, but when does their codependence dissolve? Because when Spinel gets all of this love and all this affirmation, and then the diamonds grow sick of it or kind of need to get back to real world like they did with Pink, because they sent Pink to her room, to her garden, gave her a Spinel. Like, when that happens to Spinel, what's Spinel going to do? Spinel's going to start to spiral of, they don't love me. What did I do wrong? Lash out. Oh God, I lashed out. They don't love me because I lashed out. Get angry and depressed, lash out, and it's going to start to spiral again.
Right. Spinel and the diamonds just have a lot more growing and changing to do. And just like Steven says at the end, and I love this, that he's like, my work will never be done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's always got stuff to do.
I think some people are hoping that the diamonds in Spinel will crash and burn to show that this wasn't the way to do it. I hope that hijinks ensue. That, like, Spinel starts to grow into an adolescent, like a pre-adolescent and into a teenager, and the diamonds start having to have teenager issues with Spinel.
Yeah.
Almost, because I feel like, yes, it can be serious. Yes, there can be serious consequences sometimes. And I think that there should be serious consequences because Spinel is going to mess up. And Spinel is going to need practice. And Spinel is going to need to learn how to become independent because she never learned how. She never needed to learn how. She's still an adolescent like Pink was.
Yeah.
But I hope that we get to see Spinel, like, the diamonds getting a second chance at mothering with Spinel.
Yes. And this time, they're going to do better, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, yes. All the time. Plus A parents. It's going to be great. At least better. It's a second chance, you know?
Yeah. Another thing I'd like to see moving forward from the story is all the stuff that they kind of glossed over here. Like, they glossed over the hard part of rebuilding a society and decolonizing the galaxy. Like, that would be far, far more interesting. Like, whoever tackles that, like, decolonization conflict, like, wowza. I mean, I feel like a lot of people going into the film, like before the film came out, were speculating on those types of conflicts and those types of villains, and for lack of a better term, villain, because who is the villain? Who knows? And yeah, there's just a lot that must have happened to create Era 3, and we didn't really get an explanation to any of that. It was just glossed over.
Yeah. I think one of the villains might be somebody who is not happy with the status quo being upended. Like, some people, I read theories, but I think that would be very real because as we're going through racial equity and going through what does it mean to have equity, what does it mean to bring up people higher if they were put in a lower position before. I think that it is that they have the chance to talk about really deep, tough stuff. What do Indigenous people, what does reconciliation with Indigenous people look like?
Yes.
What does it look like to restore a planet to its Indigenous point? What does it look like to restore a planet that has been robbed of its resources and its life back to how it should be, via the Earth, our Earth, that we've been, slowly taking and taking and taking. They have, opening it up that way would give them so much broad of a playground. I agree with you 100%.
Yes. Even just the word reconciliation, they could have so much material within exploring reconciliation. Like, let's see a world that really was like halfway completely destroyed or something, and there are some gems that are living on it, and yet still some original life forms of the planet. And I don't know, let's see that. Like, how do they reconcile all of that?
There's a term called restorative justice, and restorative justice is based less on a punitive system and more on a how do we become a community again. And oftentimes it's like if somebody broke somebody's vase, you get together as a community and say, okay, you broke this vase, let's talk about this, and how can we, what can we do to trust you and welcome you back into this community. And listeners, if I am misrepresenting this, please let me know, because I'm always learning. But for restorative justice with the diamonds, what would that look like? Like, not just them saying, you get your planet back, but for them to truly get on their get their hands into the soil and help to restore and help to become, like, help this become a restored community, partially with them, question mark, maybe without them, maybe some planets choose not to have the diamonds as a part of that restoration and some do, but I think that it's important to have the planets choose as well.
Yes.
In a perfect world, with my perfect little headcanon that's going on here, the planets would choose whether they want the diamonds to do anything or not.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be so cool. Also, when Garnet says you need to stay hydrated for smooching, she looks directly at Connie. I don't know if anybody else caught that, but she looked down at Connie for that. Like, I'm just saying.
Yes. Yes. There could have been a wonderful joke made there. Oh, man. Keeping it PG. Although, to be honest, it was pretty on the
smooch in a PG movie.
Yeah, I know, but it was kind of on the line there. Like, Greg almost said the S word, and there was blood. There's actual blood. That's when you know a cartoon's getting real, if there's blood coming out of someone's nose.
Oh, I didn't even get to geek out about that. Okay, so during Steven's final, like, battle, when he gets his powers back, the entire animation style turns Sojin. Like,
yes.
Naruto, One Piece, Inuyasha, like, the lines suddenly get, like, just so, I don't even know how to describe it, but it gets super, like, action anime until Steven breaks the clouds and is in front of the moon, and you get the Sailor Moon shing sound, and it's just gorgeous.
And that song is my favorite song in the whole show, and I love so many songs in the movie, but that's my favorite, is Change, because it's so epic, and Steven is finally not he's finally himself again, because he's like, change is me, that's me, you know, both in his powers, but also in his attitude. Like, he's not being such a grumpy pants anymore. He's being optimistic. He's showing that, like, yes, you know, Spinel, you can change too, and it's back to that optimism, and it's just such an epic song. Like, when he gets up from the ground and, like, kisses his blood away or whatever, like, little sparkles come out, and I'm like, yes. And he's so confident in himself and his powers, and he just kicks butt. It's awesome.
Yes. Would you say that Steven came back at that point then?
Yes, that is where Steven came back, and I just wish, I want to see more of that Steven.
Yeah. And I think it stands to reason that we will see more of that Steven, because he refound himself.
Yes.
It was so good. I remember the moment that I realized the animation changed, I was just like, it was so good. I love that. I love that part. So instruments. I think we've talked about before that each character has a different instrument.
Right.
Steven's is a ukulele, and Spinel's is backwards violin or piano.
Oh.
Like, in all of her songs, you get this like this,
yeah,
and it's so good. And when we're in the garden, and when Spinell's singing, you have this really long, drawn out, like, backwards instrument, and then when Steven starts to sing and Spinell's like, I could change, Steven's ukulele starts playing. I think it might be a baritone ukulele. James and I think it's a baritone ukulele, but then Spinell's backwards playing gets less exaggerated. It sounds more like a forwards instrument, but it's not quite. It's still backwards, but it's less exaggerated and less harsh of a, like, cutoff.
Wow, I love that. I love that. I love it. I love those things.
Those little...
They're saying things. They're using every part of the film to tell the story, including the music. Okay, I have one more very important Steven Universe question for you.
Yes.
So, the internet has made me aware, because I did not see this when I first watched it, or honestly, the last 5 times I've watched it. But when Steven goes through lion's mane into Lars's hair, we pass by the little island in lion's mane, and the trunk is open. The treasure chest on that little island has been opened. What are your theories as to what was inside? If you could see Brynn's face right now, it's just jaw on the floor, confusion face. Like, what is what?
Visual comedy on an audio podcast. I would say the jacket that he's wearing.
Aw, I love that idea. Oh, I love it so much.
Yeah, the jacket that he's wearing, I would say.
That's so sweet because it's pink.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, stop. You're making me all emotional because that's the best answer I've heard. Oh, my God.
Yay, I win. What about you?
Pink was... Oh, well, now that's my answer. Oh. I mean, I kept thinking maybe it's some cool, I don't know, cool space thing or something. No. It doesn't matter anymore. It's the jacket.
Now it's the jacket?
Now it's the jacket.
Aw.
Yeah. I thought that was one of the many, just another, nod to how much time has passed, and there's things we don't know. Like, we just... what happened between that time. So
right. Also, Connie kissed Steven on the cheek.
It's so cute.
Okay.
And I love that. I love that little moment where she's like thinking about it and then she does it.
What I wanted just a wee bit more. I wanted Steven to run over and then hug her and fuse into Stevonnie and then unfuse really quickly and then go.
Aww. That would have been so great because I missed Stevonnie this movie. I missed her. And Connie. Connie was just not there very much, and I was a little sad about it.
Yeah, they had I thought about that. They had so many appearances, and, they focused on so many gems. They even got, Bismuth, Lapis, and Peridot, singing time and song time. I get it. I hope that Steven and Connie's relationship has a spotlight in a few, at least quite, I would like to see Steven and Connie and Stevonnie and their relationship grow in the next season or whatever's coming next. I'm really interested in that. And I hope that it not being focused on in the movie means that they're going to focus more on it to come. Mm-hmm. But I'm biased. So
yeah. Speaking of, we don't know for sure what's coming, but again, Rebecca Sugar has said multiple times in many interviews that something is coming, that she just can't announce anything yet. Just another proof that Cartoon Network likes to torture us all by not releasing things in timely manners. So it could be another season. It could be another series. We have no idea. Because it could be at just season 6, or it could be maybe it's a Legend of Korra style new series.
Junior Universe.
I have no idea. So we'll see. We'll have to see. Also, I just want more of Lars and Sadie. It's hard. Here I am. I'm just a fan that just wants so much out of them. And here they give me this beautiful, beautiful cake. And it's decorated with beautiful icing. And it's just got lovely, lovely, lovely cream everywhere. And yet I'm still just like, but where's the ice cream?
But where's the romance? Let's keep going. Tell us more. Oh, also, Sapphire saved Ruby this time.
Ah, yes, that was so cool.
Oh my god. Like, now they both have triggered Garnet by saving the other.
It's so cute.
Okay. There's so many feelings and thoughts.
I know. Overall, this movie is amazing, and I'm so happy, and I'm so glad that we have a whole soundtrack of new songs.
Yes.
And even more, like, just excitement for these characters and love for them, and I can't wait to see where they continue to go.
And I really do appreciate that, like you were saying, we've learned all this before, but we really delved into a deeper level of each character. Mm-hmm. And I love that we kind of cemented what we learned and cemented what they learned. And like, I like the deep dive that we did and the introduction of Spinel. My dear Weebab, I'm so excited to see where she goes and what happens and what her story is.
Agreed, absolutely, 100%. So, Brynn, what have you been watching recently?
So, Steven Universe, of course. She-Ra. Mm-hmm. I've been watching, and I love. And, yeah. I've been watching a little bit of Miraculous Ladybug.
Yes.
And, actually, I watched Titans recently.
Oh, what do you think?
It is a live-action version. I won't want to say it's a live-action version of Teen Titans, because it's not. I'll keep watching it, but it's not like it didn't have what I was hoping it would for Teen Titans. But I've been rewatching Avatar and going through it with James. James is watching it for the first time. My cabbages! I know he has so much in store for him. I'm so excited.
Yes. Oh, that's so exciting. It's times like those where I wish I could just erase my memory so I can go back and rewatch things with the view of never having seen it.
I was going to say, I used to think about that a lot when I was a kid. Like an erase button.
But now we have the nostalgia attached to it, too. And I wouldn't want that to be erased.
What about you? What have you been watching?
I was also going to say Miraculous Ladybug. There have been some really, really interesting episodes. Did you watch the one, I forget which one it is called, but when Luca gets the miraculous?
No.
And she bummer. Because like, Ladybug originally wants to give it to Adrian, like, because Marinette wants to give Adrian a miraculous, but of course Adrian already has one, but she doesn't know that. Anyway, it was really cool because in that sense, Adrian actually, it was like an episode in which Adrian becomes the Marinette. Like, Adrian is the one fawning over Ladybug, and Adrian is the one being kind of crazy. And I think that we don't often see that. Like, usually it's just Marinette being complete crazy wacko head around Adrian. And this time it was Adrian being a complete crazy, super in love, can't get over it around Ladybug.
Aww.
And I thought that was good to see, to show that it's not like, you know, Adrian is immune to this crazy love stuff either. Anyway, that's all I got. All right, thanks so much for chatting with me about Steven Universe, Brynn. I can't wait till we can talk about some more Steven Universe, but we might have to wait a while.
Thanks for having me on, Kelly. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you for being here, Brynn. We will talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening and joining us today. Remember, if you'd like to vote on upcoming episode topics, go to www.patreon.com/Fanimated. Let us know your thoughts on Steven Universe, the movie, and your other favorite animated media on Facebook and Instagram at Fanimated Podcast. You can also email us at fanimatedpodcast@gmail.com. The art for this podcast is done by me. You can find me on Instagram at CandorDraw. The music is provided by Purple Planet Music, and a huge thank you to Brynn for joining me today. Talk to you next week, and in the meantime, stay tuned and stay animated.
I need to get on that. And also Demon Hunter or Demon Slayer?
Demon Slayer! Yeah. Okay, I've only watched... Okay, yeah. I need to watch the rest of that too, and it's a problem. It's beautiful.
So, I call that one.
Okay, I can't guarantee all the time everything because I just don't know what's going to happen. But yes,
it's for my students, and then I'd be able to point them to your podcast.
Oh, aren't you good at weaseling your way into my airing schedule, huh? Let me look up my master list. I'm going to write it in right now. I'm going to write it in. I'm going to write it, and I'm pulling it up. Just wait.
I'm just saying.
It's loading.
Just saying.
Going under the anime series tab. Where we go. Oh,